proud. I am black and I am proud because today all over America, black people are celebrating the 107th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, which was signed by Abraham Lincoln on January the 1st, 1863. Today's program is being brought to you by the Liberty National Bank of Oklahoma City, a member of FDIC. Last week I promised you an Emancipation Proclamation special, and here it is, written especially for you and dedicated to the black people in America. Titled, I Am a Black Man and I Am a Black Woman.
I was born of Africa, born of her soil, born of her civilization, her multitudes, and her dreams and her culture. I roamed the forests of the Congo and played in the Nile and the Zambezi rivers. I saw the setting of many a sun as the wind baked my body. But most of all, I was a man, a black man in love with the blackness of my country. The father of black children and dedicated to the blackness that surrounded me. I was proud and stood straight, rooted in the very beginning of civilization that started here in my native land. I was part of a people, and we were a people, a proud black people, the rulers of our own lives. When the sun was low, we fed our bodies from the fruits that sprouted out of our native soil.
I too was born of Africa, born of her soil, her multitudes, her culture, and her rhythms. I was a queen, a princess, and a peasant's wife. I drank from her rivers and lived in her soil. I wiped the desert sand from my brow. But most of all, I was a woman, a black woman, the mother of black children, and in love with my blackness.
Then came the marches. I remember the marches across the land. Black men stretched out in a great line as far as the eye could see, and mixed with the sounds of the lions. There persisted the chain clacking of white imposed slavery. Black men stumbled amidst the chains ahead of me, pregnant sisters marched behind. Black men watched in chains as black women were left wrestling with labor pains in Africa's bright sunshine. Black men crying out in anguish as leg irons were dragging the ground and their wrists were being scarred to bleeding as they tried to reach their women. I was a black man.
I too remember the marches. I too remember how black men and women were forced to leave their homes, dragged off to slavery in the New World. The Portuguese carried 1 million slaves to their colony in Brazil. The Spanish carried nearly 50 million to America. I remember the large number that died on the terrible trips to the New World, crowded together under the deck, handcuffed to one another, legs chained together. The trip across taking over 6 weeks, men and women dying. And it all started on a ship on the west coast of Africa named Jesus. And the ship landed at Jamestown, Virginia with 20 Africans on board. Coming to America, black men and black women to supply the cheap labor that was needed in the sugar, the rice, the tobacco, and cotton fields. The kings and chiefs bought and sold other Africans. The stronger tribes raided the weaker tribes. The young and healthy people were dragged off to become slaves. Africa was too weak to fight back. Yes, I remember the marches.
"246 years of free labor. 246 years of turning swamps into fertile lands. 246 years of turning forests into bales of cotton and cotton into northern factories and mills. 246 years of brainwashing, beating up people into acting and bowing and scraping as inferior beings, yet justifying slavery while trying to build a nation. But as slaves we rebelled. April 8, 1712. Slaves shot and killed 9 whites in New York. August 30th, 1741. 5 whites killed in New York. 41 blacks injured. August 1822, Denmark-Vinci led a slave rebellion in Charleston, South Carolina. August 21st, 1831, Nat Turner led a slave rebellion in Southampton, Virginia. 1859, John Brown and Harper Ferry. But how does a slave feel? Give him a bad master and he hopes for a good master. Give him a good master and he wishes to become his own master. How could you escape? Which way is freedom? If he lived near Mexico, he could cross into that country. He could try to join an Indian tribe. Or he could go north to a free state, or even on to Canada. Or he could just steal away.
Yes, he could just steal away, and I remember. I was a black woman, and I remember the abolitionists, the Quakers, Harriet the Beecher Stowe, Harriet Tubman, Bloody Kansas, and I remember the tall man, Abraham Lincoln. Yes, it was during the dark days of slavery that the black people found God and began to pour out their souls to Him and began to pray, "Oh God, free us." the tall man got the message. And in order to save this great nation, as it ripped itself apart during the Civil War, as a war measure, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which stated, all persons held as slaves in the states that have rebelled in the Union shall be henceforth and forever free. 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Civil War came to its bitter end, and a tired president went to Ford's Theater, and now he belongs to the ages. What will happen to these black people? Will they be given a horse and an acre? Or will they be turned loose in this world? 107 years have passed since the Emancipation Proclamation. 107 years of segregation and discrimination. And today, they stand. Sometimes a white brother gives a hand, but most times white America go on their busy ways, satisfied by their statistics, their reports, and their Christianity. White people remain wrapped up in their own white racist institution. But black America stands, covered by the scars of segregation and discrimination. Yet today, black America is speaking out and saying, I am a somebody. Today's program has been brought to you by Clara Luper as an Emancipation Proclamation special just for you.
Deep river, my heart is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, my home is over into campground.
Deep black rivers, the memories of a people that were brought to America as slaves.
Deep black rivers, scars uncovered by floods, fires, and famines, left alone by those that trod life's busy highways. Deep black rivers, a love never forgotten. Though time rolls on, love's happiness, joys, and sorrows remain. Deep black rivers.
Deep black rivers, smiles uncovered, some never seen by those that trod life's busy highways.
Deep black rivers, scars uncovered by floods, fires, and famines. Scars neglected and forgotten, left alone by those that trod life's busy highways.
Deep black rivers, scars undercover, though time rolls on, love's happiness, joys, and sadness remain. Deep black rivers.
Where do we find inspiration during these days? Let us turn now the pages of American history back to 1970, January the 1st, with Sharon Robinson and Richard Williams.
I say to you today, my friends, that in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down to the table of brotherhood. Yes, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a desolate state, sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. Yes, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips pour out with the words of interposition and nullification, I have a dream that right down in Alabama, little black girls and little black boys will be able to join hands with little white girls and little white boys and say, this is my sister, this is my brother. Yes, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and every mountain shall be made low, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is my hope. With this faith, I go back to the South. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to go to church together, to go to school together, yes, even to go to jail together, knowing that one day we shall all be free. And if America is to become a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the Hyphae Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain in Tennessee. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped peaks of Colorado. And when we let freedom ring, then that will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land with a pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when we let freedom ring, from every village, from every hamlet, from every state and from every city, then that will be the day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to all join hands and sing with new meaning that old freedom spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Thank you.
The labor of birth had begun its timeless stroke. Black men listening to their women crying out, and then seeing their women left to die alone on the soil of Africa. Black men crying out in anguish, black men's legs, irons dragging the ground, and wrist scars of bleeding with all efforts to reach their women. Black men falling to their knees, pleading that they leave him and kill him in place of destroying their women. Yes, the black men marched and black men died. Black men were lashed and driven like beasts. Despite it all, West Africa awaited them. The prisons on the Gold Coast awaited. Of every 10 black men who lived, 40 must have died. Black men's hearts turned to stones, harder than some may ever know. And through the stone of their hearts, the white man tried to chisel the art of broken English, and how to bow and scrape and shuffle to the tune of yes sir, no sir. I learned nothing and obeyed nothing for my life's sake. The boats came. Black men was packed like bags of sop into the stinking hole. Most of the village was there, inside that floating hole in the dark. There was no air, no toilet, no place to move. Black men lay shackled together amidst the stench of death for months on a tossing sea. They died again, one after the other. Some black men committed suicide. Some fed themselves to the sharks rather than remain slaves. Coming on Spanish ships and Portuguese ships. It was a ship named Jesus that landed the first 20 black men in America, in that great land of the free and home of the brave. But from the beginning, the black man said, this is the land of the slaveholders and the home of the slaves. For 200 years, black men was America's physical slave, and for almost 200 more, white America owned black America's mind. 200 years of black backs free labor turned swamps into fertile lands, and forest into bales of cotton, and cotton into northern factories and mills. For 400 years, black men suffered the brainwash from white mouths which beat them into acting as servant slaves. Black men sowing the best of labor, music, invention, and faith, and reaping the racious rape and knife and injustice. Black men separated from their families, looking for a day when they would be free.
And I think they will be behind the farm.
But Henry,